Welcome to episode 2 of Badger State Ball. We're back for another one, and we've got a lot to talk about again this week after a week off. We have some 2025s to talk, some commitments, National Signing Day. A lot has happened over the last couple weeks. I hear that you guys have all been traveling. Where have you guys been over the last week?
We were at the Prep Baseball Leadership Summit, where we just kind of got things figured out as a national brand on the whole, but also in Wisconsin. Exciting things to come. We're grinders. Well, that's what we do here in Wisconsin, gentlemen. I know that you guys all know that. We are grinders here in the state of Wisconsin. That's what we're doing. We're pumping out this second episode of Badger State Podcast here after a couple hours of sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
Was that big prep baseball flag there? Your favorite one, Vinny?
In fact, it was. It was on stage. Every presenter had that huge banner behind them that said Prep Baseball, and be sure to see it at showcases this winter.
Yeah.
Perfect. Hopefully we can have a new one every year. Is that possible?
I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be in the budget.
No? Too much?
We'll make sure
Okay, well, either way, we have I feel like Prep Baseball is doing pretty well with our showcase decorations. I don't know what you call that, but we do have a lot to talk about, as I mentioned, so we'll go ahead and move forward. But signing day was November 13th. That was Wednesday of this past week. We're recording this just a couple days after that, and there's a lot of talk about signing day. You see a lot about it on Twitter or on X. High schools, players, colleges posting about signing day. The players already making their commitments previously. So, Andy, could you give us a little bit of background on what signing day is? Is it just a ceremonial thing? Is it something that that makes it official? What exactly is signing day?
There is like an officialness to it. In fact, this is like the first year though that previously it was a very like literal thing where the National Signing Day brought about. It was the first day that these high school athletes were able to sign a national letter of intent, which was like coincidentally eliminated this October by the NCAA, but it was replaced by something pretty similar ultimately. So more or less, yeah, it's like it marks kind of the official, like the start of the official agreement between the player and the college that he'll be attending. So it's not quite just ceremonial, although there's a lot of like fanfare to it. Like these kids, it's pretty fun, like getting to see them next to their parents at the high school, sign this official like document that just kind of marks the start of their college journeys. So that was just this past Wednesday, and there's not too much turnover. Usually it's like these kids had this verbal commitment to this school, and that's kind of where it plays out. But I mean, it remains to be seen how things change. They change all the time, so it's probably not worth forecasting. But yeah, that's National Signing Day, and it's just a celebration of the future stars of the state and the sport and in college athletics.
So, I mean, many of our top 2025s are committed, so they would have signed those. But for those who aren't committed right now, who didn't have that signing day, is that something where they still have time to commit and to sign that letter of intent?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, more than ever, and this is a positive spin on it too. I mean, there's more talented players who are definitely college bound in some capacity who are not yet signed. We talked about a handful of them last week. I mean, the top-ranked left-handed pitcher in the state, a senior, he's not yet committed. Like, obviously, he has offers and stuff, but so just know that. I mean, if you're still out there looking for a college to attend, or maybe you have some offers to consider, like it's not too late. There's a lot of talented players kind of in that same pool. So of course, like time's getting like a little sensitive here, but at the same time, just think carefully, thoughtfully about the process. Talk to your parents about it. Yeah.
I just wanted to jump in right here real quickly, just because at that leadership conference in Vegas that we just attended for Prep Baseball, we actually had the great privilege of listening to Tony Vitello speak on this a little bit. He gave like a little 30-minute question and answer. He had a couple of nuggets to tell us, but one of the big takeaways that he had, and we as a group in Wisconsin continually harp on this, is for the players to find a good fit where they can develop and play. He even said in his speech that there are players throughout the country that just want to be on a Division I program and they want to be in that comfortable program where they're not even really wanting to play and develop. And he said that in order to develop at baseball, you have to play baseball. So it was really, really interesting that was one of the key takeaways from his little speech and question and answer segment that we, again, had the privilege of listening to at that leadership conference last few days here for Prep Baseball. Was a big takeaway, and it was just really interesting. So, again, we harp on it. We want to continue to harp on it. I will say it every single time in my pre-event speech when I talk to the players that attend our events, is just find that good fit where you're going to be able to develop and play. And if you're not committed right now, again, try and find that fit, because these rules are changing all the time with roster sizes and scholarship, how many scholarships programs can give out. So just, again, try and find that good fit, find a good coach that you're going to be able to gel with and be able to develop, but also a chance to really get that playing time and not just sit on the bench for 4 years and get 30 at-bats. It really does a player no good.
Yeah. No, and just to continue on with that, it's the playing time, the importance of it, like, it can't be understated. Like, you just need at-bats, you need reps, you need all those things, and, like, going to play where you are, have a chance to start, like, or at least earn a ton of playing time right away. Like, I think that's pretty invaluable, especially if you're just, like, trying to get to the highest level possible. Like, obviously Vinny is the prime example of that, but just, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, like, you're familiar with the college baseball scene in the state of Wisconsin. Like, the level of Division III play here is, like, no joke. Like, it's not something that exists in every single state. Like, the WEAC, for example, is just so strong and competitive, and, like, if that's where the opportunity lies, like, there are examples currently in the state, like, of college baseball who have either, like, moved on from their WEAC homes to play at, like, an even higher level, or are just thriving in pro ball after having spent 4+ years at the Division III WEAC level, whatever it might be. So, I mean, just keep that in mind. Like, the talent exists everywhere, so, like, the only way you're going to get better is to play and compete and play from day one is the first step towards
and
that
how many
process.
examples have we seen also of guys going to a Division III program, developing, playing, and then even transferring into maybe that dream school at some point with all the new transfer portal rules and the NIL stuff. You just never know, so find that good fit.
Yeah, there's actually 2 recent examples in the state of Wisconsin for that. Tyler Schmidt out of UW La Crosse he's now at Illinois, and Parker Knoll from Lawrence University is now at University of Minnesota.
Yeah, so there are opportunities really everywhere. We want to talk today about some of our favorite standouts from this past spring and summer. Favorite as in, guys that really stood out to us, some of the good performers. And we wanted to start with our Fields. You have a guy that you want to start out with. You want to talk about Tavian Schrammick. And I know high school stats don't necessarily get you recruited alone, but I did want to mention this before we went any further. 55 innings in his high school season. He allowed 1 earned run and struck out 138. So what can you say about Tavian Schrammick from seeing him, both the stats in the spring, but also seeing him this summer?
So, yeah, Tavian Schrammick, his high school coach submitted his season stats for us for our all-state teams, and that's where we originally got introduced to Tavian. And then Tavian ended up attending our Western Wisconsin Summer ID, where he broke out in very impressive fashion. It was 3 pitches. It's an East-West, Arsenal starter profile. It can get both righties and lefties out. And from that performance at that Western Wisconsin showcase up in Eau Claire, he earned an invite to the inaugural Wisconsin State games, where he ended up being MVP pitcher. It's a lower than average release height with about average extension, so, like, the fastball is getting on you from a lower slot. It's just something you don't really see, and it also just profiles as just a sinker, so it's already just heavy fading action with a ton of run, just sawing off right-handers. And then his go-to breaking ball right now is a big sweeper with, there's about 30 inches of separation of sweep between the fastball and the breaking ball. After his first inning at the state games, I went up to him and told him, hey, your changeup's gross. You need to start throwing that to both-handed batters. And next inning, he went out and he got swings and misses off of both right-handers and left-handers. And it was that really sealed the deal for him taking home the MVP honors.
Well, and it's funny because, like, I think a lot of kids, or at least I would have assumed, because I've been doing this for a little while now, and he goes to a really small school, a high school, and, you know, you think, like, automatically if you go to a school that size, like, you have ridiculous high school season statistics, but it's really not the case, even if you're bound to be a good college baseball player. I mean, it's just not a slam dunk that you're just going to hit 500 home runs in high school and like hit 750 or strike out 1,000 dudes, whatever. Like, so it's not just like the numbers that David brought up at the start of this conversation with Tavian. It's like it doesn't just happen. Like if you're doing that, like you're doing something really well, and so it wasn't even a surprise, I don't think, totally for us to see just how interesting his pitch mix was.
Another guy I wanted to highlight, and sticking to the western part of the state, is Cole Perlberg, a right shortstop from Chippewa Falls. He was also part of that state games initial roster, so he was a big-time performer from there and ended up actually committing to a high-end WEAC school, Wisconsin Whitewater, where I would think that he has a shot to push for playing time right away.
One notable guy from the summer, Braden Steinbecker, St. Cloud State commit. He's a future gamer. Manitowoc Lincoln, he's a 2025 guy. Vinny, you said you really liked what you saw out of Steinbecker. Could you give us a little bit more background on him?
Yeah, just a performer. Braden Steinbecker is a very solid baseball player all around. He's been consistent ever since he started his freshman year at Manitowoc Lincoln High School. And again, he's just been a consistent performer. I think it's a really good fit that he is going to St. Cloud State. Hit around 400 all summer long. Did the same thing last year as well. Again, just a nice compact swing, short compact swing that he has the ability to spray the ball all over the field. And again, it's just a very consistent way that he goes about his game. Left side of the infield type of a defender, probably sticks at third base in college. You like what you see from Braden. I mean, again, he's one of those guys where you think that perhaps maybe he might be done developing at some point, but just continues to get better just because of the makeup that he has as well. Just really is a hard worker, believes in himself, believes in his ability and his talent. So I liked what I saw from Braden this summer. And again, it's perhaps a two-way guy at that next level. Had an ERA of around 1.30 all summer long. So really did a nice job. Also showed out well at the state games as well. So Braden Steinbecker, a really nice performance all the way around this summer.
Yeah, another example too of him, like the find your fit thing, Vinny, like with St. Cloud State. I mean, it's a really solid Division II program that they have there. There's some really good Wisconsin players that have thrived there that come to mind. Even like Josh in your backyard, Sawyer Smith, went there. He's at Kansas now, from the Kenosha area originally. So like this is a great fit for Braden. Like he was a future gamer last year for us. So we're excited for him.
Yeah, and then another guy that you really liked, Vinny, Cam Carter. I mean, we saw him strike out like 24 guys in one game or something at the Rock, some Kerry Wood type stuff. So what did you see in Cam Carter? What kind of guy is he? He's an Arrowhead 2026, still uncommitted. What do you see in Carter?
Well, so that performance actually was one of the better performances I think I've ever seen from a high school athlete. 18 strikeouts actually. One base runner reached base, gave up a single in the seventh inning. He took a perfect game into the seventh inning. So 18 punch outs that day, 86 to 88. It's that unique over the top slot, and he's got just a wipeout slider to go with it. 6'4", 470 pounds. I mean, this kid, the ceiling on Cam Carter is just so high. Probably didn't have the best performance that he wanted to have at the future games for us, especially on that second day. Just a little bit, just kind of high with the release point. Just kind of lost the release point a little bit at that performance. But what impressed me so much about Cam Carter, it was after he came off the mound, I talked to him personally. I said, look, you have just one of the highest ceilings in the entire state, just in terms of what you can accomplish at some point once you are done reaching your ceiling. And it's such a conscientious kid, such a great kid, hard worker. He has developed already to a point where he is one of the top talents in the state, but he is only going to continue to get better. And the sky is literally the limit for this kid once he figures it all out. The pieces are there for him to be just an exceptional player. When all's said and done, you're going to see the velocity tick up. And like I said, he has that ability to spin it. And just that performance in the fall, I know we're talking about summer performances, but this fall performance was just kind of a glimpse of what could be to come for Cam Carter at that next level. 18 punch-outs. I mean, it was quite the performance. It was something to behold.
Yeah, and just totally agree with you there, Vinny, about like the way he handles some of that. Well, I mean, basically, you don't always have your best stuff, and like I think on that stage, and he wasn't the only one. I mean, it's like there's a lot of nerves there. It's like it's a very common thing at a place like the Future Games to just have a tough stretch, tough inning, whatever it might be. But it's almost, I think it's something the coaches almost like to see to a degree. Like how does this player handle that? They're not going to pitch phenomenally every single time they pitch for us in college. So how does this player handle it? And Cam handles it as mature as anyone could, and I think that just lends like exactly what you're referring to, Vinny, is like the way he handles that, like gives you the confidence that if it's not going to happen again, or if it does, it's not going to be the same way. He's going to learn from mistakes that he's made before. He also, like, his first outing at the Future Games was dominant. Exactly. It was crazy. So he's more so that guy, just like the one you saw in the fall, 18 punch-outs. So you have more evidence that that's the version of himself. And if he doesn't have his best stuff, like, he's going to handle it just fine.
I want to ask you this, Vinny, because I didn't really realize this till around the end of my career, but you as a catcher, like you caught pro guys, would like say a guy like in AAA, big leaguer, how often do they actually have their best stuff? Because at least my understanding is we just assume that the big leaguers have their best stuff most days, but is that actually true?
Yeah, no, it's definitely not. And most pitchers just are very, I guess, a little bit insecure about their stuff in general, just because, they don't feel the best. They don't feel like they have their best stuff on any given day. And so that you have to kind of coax them through that outing. So they have to also just kind of believe that they're going to be able to trust their stuff enough to get through an appearance. But, you definitely saw that first outing from Cam at the Future Games as dominant. You saw just, again, that ceiling that is there, and even the present stuff and performance. I mean, it is plenty there to excel at the next level, but he's only going to continue to get better. And then that second day, a lot of those kids on that second day experienced that same thing with the release points, and maybe their stuff wasn't moving or they just weren't trusting their stuff quite as much on that second performance, on that second inning day for a lot of those guys that threw that one inning. But Cam, there would be no worries on my end as in terms of how he is going to be a consistent performer at that next level.
Yeah, and obviously comes over time. He's a junior in high school, so you'd expect him to continue to develop. One guy that I really liked seeing, I saw him a decent amount this summer when I was out covering games, and I saw him in the spring too, actually, in the first game that I saw. Oconomowoc Luke Schlosser, he's a 2025. He's a Rock Valley commit. He's one of the guys that I think is just a nice guy to have in your program. He plays the game the right way. He's a good runner, runs a sub-7 60-yard, 91 across the diamond in the infield. A nice left-handed swing, middle infielder. His dad played baseball at SIU. His sister plays softball with the Badgers, so he's got a good sports family. Schlosser is one guy that I really liked.
Yeah, he's easy to like, too. I mean, I think the version you saw of him and like the way you referred to him to, David, is like it's just a solid baseball player, left-handed hitter, middle infielder. He's always had like huge arm strength, and he can defend. Like there's a lot to like. Going to Rock Valley, junior college. I mean, like again, like we keep talking about guys in the sense of like they're going to a place where I kind of feel confident that if he continues on the path he's going, he's going to earn some playing time and hopefully, start some games. And all of a sudden, he's like forcing himself into this conversation of demanding more attention from college coaches at the next level after his time at Rock Valley. So, I totally agree with your evaluation there.
And we have an internal grading system that we use at the show during the showcase setting among our prep baseball staff in order for us to be able to differentiate between a guy. Is this guy better, with the bat? Where's his power compared to this guy? And where's this guy with the glove and maybe his arm, whatever. But we have Drew Locascio, who is actually the state director for both states, kind of oversees both states of Illinois and Wisconsin, and he was on Luke's defense during the state games, and he put an enormous grade, an internal grade on him on the defense, and you could see why. I mean, just the way that he his actions in the infield, the way that first step, it's really impressive with the glove for sure. The bat's going to continue to come along with that. And just another thing to stress with young players, especially at the high school level and in trying to find that fit where you are going to get playing time. At the next level especially, coaches are going to seek those types of players out because they understand how hard it is to hit, but if you can come with the glove every single day and be that good defensively like Luke is, you're going to get a chance for that bat to develop at the next level. So that is important, and Luke certainly has that.
Yeah, and Rock Valley's a great place to develop. They have a good track record of sending guys to the next level, to four-year schools. One other guy that had a great performance in front of me was Jack Gorman at the state games. He hit 2 homers. He's an Eau Claire North kid, 2025, and he's committed to Northern Iowa Area Community College, or NIAC as we often refer to them. But he's someone that I think is also an under-the-radar performer. He's someone that maybe doesn't wow you in a showcase like maybe some other guys do, but he's someone that he's a consistent performer and someone that I would expect to play well at the next level and, like Schlosser, earn a spot at a 4-year school after a couple of years at NIAC.
Both of these guys committing to JUCOs, we cover junior college, so these guys are going to continue being seen. They're going to, both of these schools, both of these programs do scout days with us in the fall. We're going to be tracking these guys throughout their junior college career as well. So it's just another big thing that we do in this company. We help those junior college players find next home.
Yeah, it's actually that's Josh's favorite time of year too. Just a former JUCO guy himself. JUCO Scout Days in the fall.
Yeah,
Fields, did you ever do a JUCO Scout Day as a player?
No, they weren't that big back when I was.
No? Oh.
No, not really.
we just let.
Because I did one.
Oh, you did? Oh, MATC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we had a couple people, Deegs and Isaiah, who aren't working with us anymore. They came out to one of our scrimmages, but we also had the Region 4 showcase, that one.
Oh, right. Yep.
In Chicago. So, so I mean, it helped me out. Definitely got myself in front of a lot of 4-year coaches that were out there at the showcase. Got my name out there, even though I didn't pitch very well in that inter squad. I remember, but still got my name out there. So definitely helped. We're going to move forward to some 2025 guys. We have 2025 rankings update coming out in the next week or two, and so we wanted to preview that a little bit, not necessarily give what the ranking updates are going to be, but highlight who some of the maybe the big names are to watch in that 2025 class. Now, with most being committed, of course, Ryan Brennecke up near the top of the list. He's someone that's uncommitted still, but most of the top guys are committed. And one interesting trend that you noticed, Josh Fields, is that there are a lot of good right-handed pitchers in this class. I mean, you've got Peter Kusau, you've got Cooper Jesperson, Dylan Campo. There are plenty that you're featuring in this article coming out soon, but I want you to speak a little bit about that. Is this maybe the best class of right-handed pitchers that we've seen in the state?
Certainly since I've been here. The velo, how advanced these guys are, I mean, and on top of the track records on all of these, we have a bunch of starters, we have some high leverage relievers, I think, and we have some guys that are going to take big steps coming year and a half. Plus, these guys all are within our top 20. Most of our top 20 is right-handed pitchers, to be honest. So, I mean, Cooper Jesperson breaking out last month in a big way. I mean, trying to see breaking that down a little bit, seeing what Peter Cousseau's been up to this summer. So, like, yeah, just keep an eye out for this right-handed pitchers article coming out around the same time as the 2025s come out.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that is just having done like the rankings now for like a while, and like I think we're accustomed to ranking or taking more of a chance on the stereotypical like athlete, shortstop, center field, or whatever that might be, and for obvious reasons, up the middle players, up the middle athletes, and just because 90 miles an hour doesn't quite mean what it used to, so it's like sometimes you can get caught up in the trap a little bit of the velo trap, I guess you could call it, of just automatically assuming like velo equals like good college baseball player, from the outside looking in. But that's like not the case with these guys. I would emphasize like this right-handed pitching group, they're all really unique. They do something that I think will play at the next level. Like Peter Cousseau has arguably the best breaking ball that I've seen since I've been here. Like, and I don't say that lightly. The slider is really, really good. It like totally projects at the next level. We talked about Jesperson's slider last week. I mean, that's a standout pitch. Ethan Bauerschmidt is a high-level athlete. Him and Jesperson have some similarities there. They're both really, really good athletes who know how to spin. The point being that I don't think these are very stock right-handed pitching prospects at the next level. I mean, they're all really different, and I think that's going to help them earn playing time, succeed early. So I'm particularly excited for this group's future, and for Josh's article too, because he's great at breaking things down metrically, analytically. So he'll be able to kind of parse apart like what's the standout traits of these guys and why they're separating themselves so
you
early.
Definitely got to take a look at this article that is coming out. I mean, Josh even gets very granular with each individual pitch for these guys, and actually comps some of the pitches to some pro pitches, right? So some major league quality type of pitches that he is going to break things down to. So definitely take a look at that article. I mean, yeah, and these guys have a chance to do some damage, not only at the college level, but they're certainly on, the guys at the top of this list. They're certainly on the radar for being pro prospects here in the upcoming draft in July.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, I think we actually do. Apart from Vinny loves a comp.
Hell yeah.
He loves a major league comp. It's awesome. But I think we're generally like we're pretty, and we're just joking, but like we're pretty careful about like the major league comps and stuff. But I think with this article, like these are actual like pro grade pitches. I mean, there are area scouts like following these guys at the top of this list for sure, and so that's without like hyperbole. I think these are there's definitely pro level pitches to some of these arms too, which is the fun part.
I'm not going to ask any of you to say who it might be or what the chances are. I'm not going to put money on it. But with a lot of these guys being potential pro guys, is there a chance we see any of these taken out of high school?
Yeah, definitely there's a chance. Especially again at the top when you're referring to and like Vinny just having been a scout, a professional scout in the past, like someone like Peter Cousseau, when referring to his breaking ball, it is that good, and he has the velocity attached to it, like been into the at least 94 plus mile an hour range. He's a huge kid, like there's a lot going on there. He's not the only one that's getting pro attention. But what do you see out of these guys, Vinny, from like that professional scout
Well, I
standpoint?
think what you're seeing it from the industry right now is that I think a lot of teams understand how they can tap into the ceiling for a lot of these guys. So I think when you're talking about which guys are going to get picked, and always understanding that it does have a lot to do with how much they get, if they're signable or not, how much these kids are going to be asking for out of the draft, just depending on if they're going to want to go play at the college level or if they're going to want to go ahead and play in pro ball. But they are looking very granular at each individual attribute of each individual pitch and each individual delivery, and seeing what works and what plays at that next level and what they can tap into. And so, yes, I think the guys at the top of this list are for sure guys that area scouts are looking at because they have some of these attributes And when I'm talking about attributes, I'm talking about the spin rates and the velocities on a breaking ball and the movement profile of a breaking ball, and even on the fastball, which is something that's not really something that they can teach. They can't really teach you how to spin a breaking ball faster. They can tweak some of the things on where your hand placement is necessarily, but if you have that raw ability to spin a breaking ball and really have that good carry on a fastball, or be able to throw two different fastballs, right? So the four-seamer that has good ride, and then the two-seamer that has that boring, hard two-seam running action. If you can do those three things, you have a chance to get drafted at the next level into pro ball. And again, these guys, like Peter Cuso, Ethan Bauerschmidt, Cooper Jesperson, I mean, you're maybe even talking about an Auden Pankinen might get some looks as well. So just because he has the ability to do all three of those things. So, these guys definitely have a chance. It's going to be a matter of how they perform this spring, how scouts see them on any particular day, and then their signability as well.
Yeah, if I were a pro scout, I would totally look at Auden Pankinen. I'm glad you brought him up. The River Falls right-handed pitcher, he is super impressive to me. He was at our senior future games, our first ever senior future games that went on at the same time as the 16U future games down in Georgia. He was on the same roster as some of the guys we've kind of talked about in the past here. Dylan Campo, who we referred to earlier, he's going to be featured in this Fields article, which will be fun. Jack Romatini, they were all in the same dugout. Cam St. John, another Western Wisconsin kid. But with Pankinen, really good mover. Like, the delivery is excellent, and the pitch profile is good too. It's kind of a low release height with a sinking fastball, sweeping slider. He has control of both. He would have been on our future games team last year as an incoming junior. Just had a small injury that just hit at the wrong time in the calendar, so he wasn't able to make it. But I was glad that he was able to make this senior future games team, committed to Nebraska shortly after that as one of the top arms on that roster, and really in the event, low 90s. I think he had some of the best velo at the event, attached to that, like, sweeper, delivery, all that stuff. So I think he'll definitely demand some pro looks, if not right out of high school, then in college, hopefully.
Yeah, and I just wanted to leave this off. So talking to some area guys over the last couple of years, like, there's always one common thing that they say every time I see them. It's, you can never count anybody out, like, year over year in these cold weather states. Like, these guys get better in the winter. They can't play all year round, so they have to go indoors, they have to eat, they have to lift weights, and they have to find other ways to get better. So expect some of these guys maybe taking a jump. Like, it's happened before. I mean, these pro guys are expecting it. They're not counting any of these guys out.
That's a great point, Josh. And we're bred a little bit different up here, right? We're kind of wired a little bit different up here, and it seems like we always, us Wisconsin players, always have a little bit of a chip on our shoulder, just in terms of, okay, we can compete with the best of the best in the entire world, not only in the country, right? So that's you do see these guys, you see kids from cold weather states, especially Wisconsin, really pop at that next level.
Yeah, and even I've seen maps of where pro guys come from, or where major leaguers come from, and specifically the pitchers, they come from the Midwest about as frequently as they come from the South. So even though I felt like when I spent 1 year playing in the South, I felt like pitchers were maybe a little more advanced. But when you get to that pro level and you've got the best of the best, it feels like the guys in the Midwest, maybe they take a little bit longer to develop. Maybe they do go to a college, a JUCO, a four-year school, and they develop there. But in the end, a lot of them make it to the same spot as some of the Southern kids who were able to play more growing up. A lot of these players are committed to those four-year schools. Dylan Campo is one that just committed to a JUCO, Florida Southwestern. And speaking of being a pro guy, I mean, out of a JUCO, Carlos Rodriguez of the Brewers, he's someone that went to Florida Southwestern, was drafted by the Brewers, and made it up to the majors this past year. We saw recently Christian Opper, a Wisconsin guy, go the JUCO route and he was drafted twice, I think it was, and the second time he signed and went to play pro ball. Do you think Dylan Campo could be that next guy, and what kind of a fit is it for Campo to go JUCO instead of maybe going the traditional route and going to, say, a Louisville or Nebraska or a Penn State like some of these other arms?
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, so Campo is he's a big body guy that is also has projection left in his body. I mean, so it's a fastball. We've seen him up to, what's the best fastball we've seen? Is it been up to 94-ish, 93, 94 range from him? And so it's a quick arm from a three-quarter slot, and he can really spin the baseball. And he's been kind of battling some injury stuff in the past, so this is the first time that we've really seen him kind of in an extended look, and he performed well, especially in that second outing at the senior future games. Really liked what I saw from Dylan Campo. I mean, I love this fit at the JUCO level, especially at that Florida JUCO level. It's going to be a quick. I think it's going to be a quick level, or I should say, the learning curve for Dylan Campo is going to be pretty much straight up here, because again, I think the chance for him to develop quickly is going to be there, especially when he's going to go to a Florida JUCO. It's going to be a warm weather state, and it's going to be he's going to throw a lot of innings, and he's going to just continue to tick up and get a lot better in like I said, a quick developer. I think Dylan Campo is going to be. It's going to be fun to watch.
That, like, just as well as I do, that how competitive the Florida JUCO scene is, and Florida South, there's a lot of really good programs down there. Florida Southwestern is among the most competitive. But yeah, Josh, why don't you elaborate on that?
Yeah, Andy and I we are resident JUCO team rankers throughout the spring season, so Florida, we are well aware of how great the talent in the Florida JUCOs are. Like, there's power forward level bats scattered throughout. There's guys that get drafted. Like, our top JUCO arm was in Florida last year. Mac Estrada ended up getting drafted, but I think he's now at Florida State. But yeah, Dylan Campo he's a power pitcher in the making, and there's still room left to add, just like Vinny said. So, like, yeah, he's going to go down there and he's going to get thrown into the fire realistically here because of just how good the talent is down there.
Another JUCO commit, Jack Pellet, he's over at Lake Country Lutheran, and he's going to Madison. Kaden Connor and Loren Georger, they're both guys that were previously committed and then decommitted, and now they're committed. Kaden Connor to North Dakota State, Loren Georger to St. Louis University. Is that becoming more of a common thing? We talked about the recruiting rules and the changes and everything. Andy, you seem to be an expert in that. Is that becoming more common now with older guys and transfers where players maybe have their original commitment and then decommit before the signing day, before it becomes official, and now they're back at good universities that they're committed to?
Yeah, is it more common right now in this moment? Like, maybe slightly. Will it be even like substantially more common, like in the not too distant future? I think yes. Not really trying to predict the future, because I think at the NCAA level, there's just things changing constantly. And at our leadership conference, right, we're like, hearing from coaches, like, they don't know themselves and they are in it. They don't have any inside knowledge. It's kind of like they're just rolling with the punches. So with that, I would just say, like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about, like, what's happening there, or don't try to predict it. It's not worth your time. Like, so in the instances of Kaden Connor, Loren Georger, it could have been like their situations. I think there's some nervousness from the college coaches right now, just in terms of, like, they don't know exactly when the roster sizes and the limitations that they're going to have in place there will go into effect. If it's in the fall, hypothetically, that would create like a pretty crazy environment. Like, you'd have to know really early on which players you're going to carry on with on the roster, like, throughout the entire spring season and at a really early date. So if they've kind of, like, mentally maybe or literally committed more money to them, like scholarship money to them. That'll just make it a tougher time for the players on no scholarship and so on. So they'll just have to make that decision earlier. Maybe they're kind of giving them the courtesy of like, hey, like this is what it looks like, our situation. Like by the time you get to campus, we're kind of allowing you this, just being transparent, allowing you this opportunity to make a decision on your own. I know in the instance, we're huge fans of Kaden Connor on this podcast, Loren Georger too, future gamer last year. But Connor, having talked to his dad a little bit, he sent us kind of an email about how like happy they were about their situation now in North Dakota State. They feel like it all kind of worked out for them. So the advice here would be like, even if you're listening to this and are a committed player, it is maybe the most critical point we make on this podcast. Be like, make sure in all of your conversations with coaches, like whether or not you're committed or like throughout your commitment process, like being respectful and like making sure that you're really not burning any bridges with these coaches. Like you just don't know what's going to happen if somehow you lose this opportunity at this place you were previously committed to. This assistant coach that you had a good relationship with maybe takes a better job somewhere else, really liked you, inquires about you, like all of a sudden there's that connection made there. Like now you have this new opportunity that might even be better, like looking straight at you down the road, like years from now. So the point being, just like, I think that's the advice to take away. Don't try to predict the future of the NCAA rules. Instead, get better and make sure that you're giving yourself the best opportunity to make the most of future outcomes like that just pop up without you even realizing it.
Yeah, even for me, I spent 1 year at a 4-year school and then went back JUCO, and so now you're in the same spot. One, you want to maintain that good relationship with the junior college coaches if things don't go well in your first year, and then after that you're trying to get recruited again to another 4-year school. So those opportunities are going to be the same, and your reputation goes around. College coaches, they know each other. They talk about the players. People like us, we know the players. So certainly if you burn bridges, it's not going to be to your benefit, even if you think that it's going to work out for you at the school, and hopefully it does, but it may not always. One other big commit in the 2026 class, Charlie McIntyre, Whitefish Bay kid, he's a great defender in center field. He can run, and he's committed to Youngstown State, so D1 school in the Horizon League.
There is a Wisconsin connection as well. So Dylan Mosier, who is Ben Mosier's older brother, is at Youngstown State currently as the assistant coach. There's the Wisconsin connection there at Youngstown. So I had a chance to talk to Dylan a little bit at the future games, and they're going to do a great job there.
Earlier, Vinny mentioned about how Wisconsin players are competitive in the majors or in the pro level, but also on a world stage. Vinny's one of those guys, former World Baseball Classic player for Team Italy. Another guy from Wisconsin, Drake Baldwin, he's playing in the Premier 12 right now, which is one of the big international baseball tournaments, playing with some ex-big leaguers. Baldwin himself is a top 100 prospect in the Brave system. He's someone that actually I got to write a piece about him and Alan Roden, two Wisconsin guys for the site. That's up on our Prep Baseball site right now. But Vinny, what does it mean to represent the country? You represented Italy, Baldwin here representing USA. What is that like to play on the international stage?
It's quite the honor, really, is what it is. I mean, because when I was representing the country of Italy, so my great-grandfather naturalized from Sicily back in the early 1900s. And so, I mean, you just have that pride for your ancestry, and then you're able to play for that country. Now, if I was playing for Team USA, I think I would even have even more of that sense of pride. So really a cool moment for Drake to be able to represent USA.
Yeah, in their game against the Netherlands, he scored a run. Game against Panama, went 1 for 4 with an RBI, scored a run as well. So he's been holding his own against some veterans. One of the guys on his team, Rich Hill, who's now 44 years old. I just saw that Rich Hill said he intends on playing in 2025, and I hear that someone on this podcast, I played against Drake Baldwin, but I did not play against Rich Hill. But Vinny, you said you played against Rich Hill?
I have played against Rich Hill. In fact, I've got a lot of at-bats against Rich Hill in the minor leagues because he came up in the Cubs system right around the same time that I was coming up in the Brewers system. Now, obviously, he's got a couple of years more than me as far as Major League service time, But yeah, my first major league double was hit off of Rich Hill in 2006 at Wrigley Field. It was a go-ahead RBI double. We actually weren't able to hold the lead. It was a late inning RBI double against Rich Hill. Like I say, I could hit left-handed pitching, so I did hit that double against Rich Hill. I also hit a home run against him in Iowa when he was playing for the Iowa Cubs in Des Moines. I remember that. He had that big curveball as well, hit it off the curveball. So he still has that big curveball. Amazing that Rich Hill is still playing. And, yeah, I got a little feather in my cap hitting that double off him.
Yeah, I mean, that goes to show how small the baseball world is, that Vinny is, you have this experience against Rich Hill, and Drake Baldwin is sharing the dugout with him now. I think that it's both amazing for Rich Hill alone, but also just like this classic only in baseball moment, I think.
Yeah, so a lot of veterans in this tournament. It's a mix because they don't allow 40-man rostered players, so it's a mix of top prospects. Some guys that I know are in the Northwoods League in Wisconsin. Tim Elko, he's a Doc Spider. Chandler Simpson also was a couple good prospects. Tamar Johnson, former first-round pick. So some of the young guys, and then, veterans like Rich Hill, Dan Altavilla, guys that we've seen in the majors. So high-level competition, Drake Baldwin, one of the guys there, and certainly this season, future games, Major League future games, future game before the All-Star game. He was his organizational player of the year by Baseball America, earned his way onto some top 100 prospect lists, considered the Braves' top prospect now. So it's been a big year for Drake Baldwin. This caps it off for him, the Premier 12 serving as a qualifier for the Olympics, even I think for the World Baseball Classic now for the upcoming one. The U.S., I'm sure, has a spot already, but serving as a sort of qualifier for it. So big year for Drake Baldwin. Before we finish, though, we've got the Rottino report. We haven't gotten to it yet, so we're going to finish with the Rottino report, highlight an uncommitted player that Vinny wants to speak about. That's somebody that should be on college coaches' radar.
For sure, Bennett Burke. He is a uncommitted 2025. He is currently the 48th ranked player in the state. So Bennett actually attends IMG Academy in Florida, but he is being ranked by us here in Wisconsin. So it's a Wisconsin player. He's from Wisconsin that we have seen when he was a middle schooler. But like I said, he is down in Florida for high school, but he is a player that is definitely on Wisconsin's radar and should be a player that we take note of, and college coaches should certainly take note of, just because of the tool set and just the baseball player in general. I mean, this kid, compact frame, 5'10", 200 pounds, very strong. Love the swing, smooth, fluid, easy swing, short, compact, leverages the ball out in front, can really juice the ball. We saw him at the state games, juice the ball 393 feet, nearly 400-foot ball that he hit during the batting practice portion of the event, showing off that raw power. Can really drive the ball to all fields. Good runner, 6'8" runner, can play. He's an outfielder, but in left-handed thrower, so left-handed bat, left-handed thrower, outfielder, corner guy, and potentially even a center fielder. So really like Bennett Burke, and I think he is going to be one of those, again, a guy that, again, and you love these types of players that you think that they are done developing just with maybe the body type or whatever have you, or maybe there is already current or present strength that is there, but the ability just to continue to improve and really just elevate that ceiling with the just the makeup on a kid like this. I was around him a little bit at a showcase at Summer ID in June at the Rock. Loved the makeup of this kid, and then again a little bit at the state games. So just one of those that's going to continue to get better, and college coaches should definitely take note of Bennett Burke.
Yeah, as far as our rankings go, I mean, he's right in that territory with a lot of the guys we've been talking about both this week and in our last episode. Dimitri Edmonds, Tavian Schrammick, Luke Schlosser, right in that range. So he's an excellent talent. There are a lot of good players in Wisconsin in that 2025 class, and Bennett Burke is one of them. At IMG Academy, of course, good development there, and somebody that should be, as Vinny said, on the radar of college coaches. But with that said, we're going to wrap up today's episode. Now that we've covered, I feel like, so much in the 2025 class, commitments, and a lot of news. I'm not sure if there's always going to be this much news going forward, but again, be on the lookout for Josh Fields' article on 2025 right-handed pitchers. Mentioned the Drake Baldwin and Alan Roden article that I wrote a couple weeks ago. We've got our 2025 rankings update coming in the next week. So even though it is sort of that dead period, it's November, December, we don't have events going on right now. Of course, no tournaments outside, no showcases, but there's a lot happening. There's a lot to keep up with on our site up at prepbaseballreport.com. So as always, as we go, we'll leave you with this. Let's bring back Badger baseball.